Hey everybody, it is time to navigate your new. Even if everybody else stays in their old, you have a sovereign responsibility over your life to navigate your new. Even if everybody around you flips back into the old, encourages you to stay in the old, shames you for wanting to move on, wants to disorient you, all right, listen to me carefully. You need to navigate your new. Hey everybody, share this while it's live. Get people to hop on. I'm only going to be on until noon. I'm finished at noon. I've got other appointments, so hop on. All right, but this is so important. We are in real-time emerging right now. We're emerging out of one season, one era, and it's over. And we are literally passing what may seem like dry ground. We're passing over dry ground to get to the other side. All right? And you need to pay close attention to what God is speaking to you. All right? What He's saying to you. Because if you're going to navigate your new, my friends, it's new. You're going places with Him you've never been before. You're going to have to abide like never before. You're going to have to lean in and listen to Him for yourself. Listen carefully. You are at a place as you navigate your new and you emerge in this season. If you've been allowing Him to develop you during these days. Now, if you've just been using it as downtime and you're just ready to, turn back around and you just want things to go back to normal, then you can go ahead and click me off, okay? But what I'm saying to you is if you're navigating your new, you know you are more on a specific path that God has already set out for you. And you realize when you're navigating your new that you're in the long-range plan of God. All right, it's new to us, my friends. It's not new to God. God's had it planned since before the foundations of the world. Nothing has caught Him off guard. He will incorporate it in, but my friends, God is still working on His long-range plan of what it is that He has provided for Himself, okay? We're headed finally into what it is that God has provided for Himself. And He's now calling you to allow Him to navigate you into your new, which requires you to have to make crucial decisions. It means that you're going to have to realize that for a while it's going to be like, when He delivered His children from Egypt, right? And they were crossing the Red Sea, all right? And there are many things that we can recognize in this. But how many of you know that when they crossed the Red Sea, waters were to their left and right, but they were on dry ground? And sometimes we can't recognize the deliverance that God is bringing because it's like, wow, we are walking on dry ground. It doesn't yet feel like, rivers of living water. I'm feeling dry. I may feel alone. It feels so very risky. Yes, welcome to navigating your new. And it's so key. Hey, everybody, so glad that you're on. Do not take what God is saying to you now, or don't try to reach back into what He's done before and just try to reapply it. No, this is, my friends, God is now taking us into what He has provided for Himself. So I wrote down on my whiteboard just a few things to navigate your new. Number one, you have got to take sovereign responsibility for your life. Back in 2017, as I was living this, and I'm still living this, two major things God told me about shifting, deep shifting, was number one, I had to be willing to take full responsibility for everything that was going on inside my skin. If you're blaming others or you're with somebody that is constantly blaming as you're trying to navigate your new, Maybe you're just trying to have, a new conversation, and all they can do is blame, deflect. You need to recognize that's probably not two adults having a conversation. That's one person ready to navigate into the new. That is one person defending the old, and usually the two part. So I want you to recognize that if you decide to take full responsibility for your life, the life that God has given to you, you have a responsibility to live that out. Like Wynn and I have a sovereignty over our home. Nobody else can tell Wynn and I what we are to do. Now, if out of our freedom, all right, the sovereignty that God has given Wynn and I, we decide out of our freedom that we're going to yield to certain authorities, certain voices that God has given to speak into our life, we're doing that out of our freedom. All right, so this is very important. You have a sovereign responsibility over your life. You cannot abdicate your authority in seasons of new. You cannot discount your discernment in seasons of new. Because why? Because God is attempting to actually develop a sharpness and alertness in you that you're going to have. That maybe it wasn't required when you followed in a herd mentality, or when you were, being raised in a particular house, a particular church, particular leadership. But you're moving, my friends. This is not the same old. You are maturing, I hope. So that means that as you're maturing, certainly we take wisdom and we want to hear what others have to say, but you begin to realize, wait a minute, I've got a sovereignty over my own life, and I've got to be responsible for the decisions I'm making, for the choices that I make, as I respond to God and what He is telling me. So this is very, very strong, my friends. Very, very strong. You cannot abdicate your authority to another person and just blindly follow. All right? You can walk alongside. I didn't say you couldn't follow, but remember, everything as you mature, more and more begins to be done out of your full freedom, because later you're not going to be able to blame anybody either. You're not going to be able to excuse yourself. This is time, my friends, to take full responsibility for the life that Jesus died and rose again and poured out the Holy Spirit to put inside of you. All right? You understand? We have a strong, strong responsibility. So you cannot abdicate your authority. If you're going to live in sovereignty, which means, and I know that we're used to only using that word typically when we say that, God is sovereign. Well, but God gives us sovereignty over our lives. All right? Welcome, everybody. I hope that you'll share this while it's live or on the rebroadcast. This is important. These are emerging days, real-time obedience, my friends. You don't have time to go, oh, that's a nice thought, and then not obey for 3 years. Well, everything's an option to you. I just don't recommend it, okay? This is real time. God's trying to move you into your new. He's trying to give you stewardship over your future. Now, I don't determine my future. You don't determine your future, but you do discover it. And as you discover it, you take responsibility for it, and then you begin to learn what it really means. I mean, this is not for the faint of heart. This is when you really, really learn how to steward your future. I have oversight over those things. I'm not waiting for somebody else to show up and say, Nancy, do this, do that. No, I am receiving from God what I'm to do. He's called me onto a specific path, and I do that in deep collaboration with others. But no one else, even though collaborative or on a team, has a responsibility to hear God for me and direct my life. Now, when you're babes, that could be appropriate. But I'm speaking to those who are maturing. You are emerging in this time. Right now, real time. Okay, do you understand what real time, real life means? It means right now. Right now, this is happening. And so you've got to decide if you're going to navigate your new. Are you going to take sovereign responsibility, or are you going to keep looking to the past, blaming others, constantly seeing everything through an old lens, okay? Or are you going to say, you know what? Things may have happened to me in the past, but those things do not any longer determine my future. God has written a word over your life. And if you're letting bitter resentments, unresolved conflicts, controversy with God, okay, I'm telling you, those things are going to keep your leg tied to a pole, and you're going to think that you're making progress, but my friends, you're not. You're going to think you're, really moving things around, but this is a statement I make in my book, is I realized I was still just rearranging the furniture. I was still in the same crazy room. And I just thought, oh, I'm rearranging things. No, I was still in the same crazy stuff. So my friends, God is bringing you out. He's not just delivering you from other people. He's delivering you from the things inside of you that would fight you navigating your new. Because God has provided something for himself. God is taking you into the future that he has for you. So let me just tell you that when I say you can't abdicate your authority, you know what that means? Is your whole way of relating to people in authority is about to shift. Holy shift. I'm telling you, the whole way that you interact, think about, maneuver, everything with people in authority is getting ready to shift. Why? Because you're on your way to beginning to be the authority that God has called you to be. And any attitudes, any wrong thinking, anything about authority that is still unresolved in you is getting ready to get worked out. Okay, and I'm telling you, you need to hear God for yourself, and you need to trust the discernment that he's giving you. All right? So navigate your new, take sovereign responsibility over your life, over your home, over your ministry, over your business, over your life. No excuses, no blaming, okay? You're going to begin to steward your future. You're going to begin to have oversight. There are decisions you're going to be walked into. You're going to be able to walk into your future. And I've shared this recently with a confidence, because when sons begin to trust the Father at new depths, guess what happens? He builds a confidence in you in the new heart that he's given you. And you cannot be gaslighted. Nobody's going to be able to use word salad on you. Nobody's going to be able to disorient you, all right? Because you're going to begin to have a confidence in the heart and nature, the new nature that God has put within you. All right? I'm telling you, I don't have time to go into all of this, but this is so very key, because you can't cut through the weeds, my friends. You cannot clear land with a dull axe. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. One of my favorite quotes, Abraham Lincoln said, if it takes you 6 hours to cut down a tree, spend the first 4 hours sharpening the axe. This is what is getting ready to happen inside of you in your discernment, because you're not going to be able to be disoriented because somebody keeps telling you their narrative. They're telling you their truth. And you're like, wait a minute. I know what I heard. I know what I saw. Wait a minute. And I'm telling you, it's going to stir up a lot of things in you. Why? Not so you can get fixated on the other person, but because God's trying to flush some things out of you that you have either ignored, you've been unwilling to look at the truth, you have let it cause you to make your hands just droop by your side, and you're like, well, it must just be me, And what do? You go right back into your old. Okay? You see, people that want to stay in their old, they want you to stay in your old, because that's how they keep controlling you. But you need to not see this as some kind of adversarial action you're taking against other people. This is you in a proactive move to go forward with God. Behold, he says, I'm doing a new thing. Now, it's new to us. We're waking up like, wow, this is what God is doing. So I want you to make note of this. Now, how many of you know I could teach 2 hours on every one of these? Okay, and those of you that know me, you know that I could. Now this sidebar, what it means is recently God told me, Nancy, you and I are going to have a whole lot more sidebar conversations. Now, when you live an abiding lifestyle 24/7 and you're walking new, I'm going to tell you, God's got to be able to call you aside and say, we need to have a little sidebar conversation. You're about to repeat a pattern. You are about to give up everything in this particular conversation, let's say, that I've shown you, that I've told you, and you don't even realize it. And he is going to talk to you. Do you know what a sidebar conversation is? Most people see it as in a legal court of law, and either the attorneys or the judge kind of stops the public proceedings and calls them up to the bench, and they come to the side, and they're the only ones that can hear what it is. Now, everybody else is going to hear about it or hear the decision that was made out of it, but they don't hear all the details in the sidebar conversation. And God wants to have sidebar conversations with you as you navigate your new, because you're going to need some real-time wisdom, some real-time reminders, some real-time, hey, he's going to say, hold up. And I'm telling you, it's like you go into slow motion. And you're like, what did you say? And you'll be right in that moment, and you'll be like, oh, yes, Father, yes. I need to stop what I'm doing. I need to not be afraid. I need to not trigger into anger. God gives you these slow motion moments where you get to decide if you're going to navigate your new or you're going to trigger off into your old. Because listen to me, my friends, there is some serious learning that is about to happen. Real discipleship, the slow fire of God. I hope you can see this. Let me get that down there. Yeah, there it is. Slow fire is about to spread like wildfire. Oh, thank you, Jesus. We need the slow fire, the slow burn of the maturing of the sons of God deep down, so that nobody will be able to disorient you, so that they can reorient you into their truth and keep you from navigating your new. No one is going to be able to sideline you. If you have sidebar conversations with God, others will not be able to sideline you with your full cooperation. We've got to understand that God is up to something very deep within, and the slow fire, we need it so desperately. We need to grow up. We need to mature. We need to let God work in us. So don't abdicate your authority, all right? Trust the discernment that God is giving you. You need to be alert, and you need to be fully present. I encourage you to watch for a premiere video that's going to be on Monday, May the 4th, and at noon Central Standard Time, with a dear friend of mine, Debbie Barone. And she talked about this as she and I talked about what does it mean to navigate your new seasons. You see, I'm not interested in just having famous people on. I want to have like the real people on, the real people that are fighting the fight down in the trenches, really moving through times and making those crucial decisions. I believe in that faceless, nameless generation of people that are about to rise up, and I'm telling you, hell's never going to see them coming. Hell is never going to see you coming, because when you get under the radar and you let God slow burn you and you let Him mature you and you let Him deliver you from your fears, remember the statement I've made before. When the devil gets tired of tempting you, he will entertain himself by terrorizing you. He loves to control you by what scares you. And I'm telling you, under the radar right now, people are getting free. And they've decided, I shall fear no more. I'm about to navigate my new. I'm about to step forward. I'm about to take hold of what the Father has provided for Himself and has provided for me. Oh, this is a good time. So we need to be alert. We need to be present, real time. We need to be in it right now. And this is when we begin to experience God's strengthening of the new man. In Isaiah 41:10 in the Amplified Classic, He says, do not fear. I will strengthen and harden you to difficulties. Oh, I wish I had time to go into it, but I don't. I'm getting ready to have to stop. All right. But I wanted to just get on today, and I wanted to be able to share just these few thoughts with you that if you're going to navigate your new, you're going to have to get serious about it. This is real-time obedience. This is every day. This is in the moment. What he tells you, do it. Stay in it. Stay with him. Because when you get into the slow fire of God, the real character, the real integrity of Jesus is getting ready to show up inside of his people. When this happens, my friends, God is not only going to build confidence in you towards him, where you're going to be like, I know my Father. Okay, so ain't nobody else going to be able to scare me. Okay, threaten me or guilt me. Not myself, not anybody else. Okay, but it's also that place where he builds real confidence in you, in the new heart that he's put within you. And you begin to have a true, godly, humble boldness within you. My friends, don't stay and fight old fights. Don't argue to be believed. Don't argue when you know that what God has told you is true. Bid farewell to the old and walk into the new. Navigate your new. Walk with God. This is about moving on with him. This is about him getting what he wants, which is you, in total oneness with him. This is about you beginning to mature and be able to walk with those whom God has given for your life and those whom he gives you influence with. All right? So there are so many other things that I could say, but it's time to stop. But remember this, God is working his long-range plan in you. Navigate your new. Take sovereign responsibility for your life. Steward your future, my friends. Come and have sidebar conversations with God in real time where he's going to direct you. You're going to know if you're to go left or right, if you're leaning into him more and more. He will strengthen you, and every bit of this is accomplished by the slow fire, by the slow burn of real, true discipleship. We have to have it right now. All right? So, thank you for hopping on with me, and I hope that you will be with me Monday morning when I do Move On Mondays at 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Don't forget that at noon on Monday, this premiere video will come out again where my dear friend Debbie Barone and I had a great conversation, and I want to share these things with you. I want you to hear from people that are really learning this, all right? Because this is learning that becomes a lifestyle. This is real. This isn't just teaching. This is real discipleship. We are really maturing. So be alert, be present. Do not abdicate your authority over your life. Begin to walk with him at new depths. This is so important. I want him to have you. Okay? I want to win you for him, because it's going to be the sons that are getting ready to get up. We're getting ready to emerge out of this season, and we're getting ready to actually accomplish the will of God. And you know why? Because we are the will of God. You don't just do the will of God, you are the will of God. He wanted sons, maturing sons, who would be an expression of himself and an extension of his authority. So come on, let's get on with it. All right? I love you all. Thanks for being with me, and I hope you do share this, okay? Until then, until next time, see you later. Bye.